Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, verses 21 to the end. Etam bhukva svargalokam vishalam क्षीणे पुण्ये मर्त्यलोकं विशन्ति एवं त्रयी धर्ममनुप्रपन्नाः गतागतं कामकामा लभन्ते अनन्या चिन्तयन्तो मां ये जना पर्युपासते तेषां नित्याभियुक्तानां योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम् येऽप्यन्यदेवता भक्ताः यजन्ते श्रद्धयान्विताः तेऽपि मामेव कौन्तेय यजन्त्यविधिपूर्वकम् अहं हि सर्वयज्ञानां भोक्ता च प्रभुरेव च न तु मामभिजानन्ति तत्तेनातश्च्यवन्ति ते यान्ति देवव्रता देवान् पितॄन् यान्ति पितुव्रताः भूतानि यान्ति भूतेज्याः यान्ति मद्याजिनोऽपि माम् पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयम् यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तदहं भक्त्युपहृतम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मनः यत्करोषि यदश्नासि यज्जुहोषि ददासि यत्तपस्यसि कौन्तेय तत्कुरुष्व मदर्पणम् शुभाशुभफलैरेवम् मोक्ष्यसे कर्मबन्धनैः सन्न्यासयोगयुक्तात्मा विमुक्तो मामुपैष्यसि समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेष्योऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि तेषु चाप्यहम् अपि चेत् सुदुराचारः भजते मामनन्यभाक् साधुरेव समन्तव्यः सम्यक् व्यवसितो हि सः क्षिप्तं भवति धर्मात्मा शश्वच्छान्तिं निगच्छति कौन्तेय प्रतिजानीहि न मे भक्तः प्रणश्यति मां हि पार्थव्यपाश्रित्य तेषु पापयोनयः धियो वैश्याः तथा शूद्राः ते यान्ति परां गतिम् किं पुनर्ब्राह्मणाः पुण्याः भक्ता राजश्रयस्तथा अनित्यमसुखं लोकम् इमं प्राप्य भजस्व माम् मन्मना मम भक्तः मद्याजी मां नमस्कुरु मामैवैष्यसि युक्तैवम् आत्मानं मत्परायणः
Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer, whatever you give, whatever austerity you practice, O Kaunteya, do that as an offering to me. all those actions. Says, do it as offering. Offering implies sacrificing. There is a difference. Offering is a sacrifice. What are you supposed to sacrifice? Whatever you do that as a sacrifice. The tinge of sacrifice is the proof of your devotion. Devotion needs identification. Love and devotion are one and the same. When you identify with the lower, you term it as love. When you identify with the higher, you term it as devotion. I love my dog. I am devoted to my guru. Don't say I love my guru. You can say that, nothing wrong with it. But it will not be taken in appropriate sense. So what are you supposed to say there? I am devoted to my guru. But the feeling is same, remember. It's the feeling of oneness, identification. The proof of your identification is what? Yeah, I have tremendous love, tremendous identification. What is the proof? The proof of that is sacrifice. The effortlessness with which you can sacrifice is the proof of your identification. Right? That's what he means when he says, do all that, do all these things as offering to me. Offering means you should have the capacity to sacrifice. But when you sacrifice, always there is a pain involved. No sacrifice can be done without any pain. There is a pain. Now, if you feel that pain and then sacrifice, you can never intensify it further. With pain, if you do anything, first opportunity to stop, you will stop it. Isn't it? Imagine you come to the class with pain. First opportunity, what you will do? What you will say? Online. Exactly. Correct. Online. Why? When I am able to get that comfort of the same material sitting in my bedroom, why will I put an effort to get up and come to the hall and listen to it? Will I? By getting up from bed and coming to the living room and listening to that same lecture is a pain. Who will do that? All Zoom class, don't get angry with me. Right? I'm speaking the truth. If you get angry with me, I can't do anything. Right? Identification means what? Identification means if there is an identification with the class, what is the first thing you will do? I'm going to meet you after 1.5 years. We have not had offline class. Right? Now you had opened it to have it offline. They're allowing people to come and attend. How many are there in Zoom now? 20. Barring those who are in outstation, there are 20 right now. Okay. Imagine there are 3 people outstation. That's all. So there only 3 will be there. That's it. What about the rest 17? Oh, I have to travel all the way. I am traveling. The fellow says, from Whitefield I have to come. From Hebbal I was coming to Whitefield. No. What about that? I have been coming every Sunday from Hebbal to this place. How long it takes? 27 minutes. Right? 27 minutes drive. That's all. 27 minutes drive is a pain, as though you never ventured outside the house. Sir, Corona, Omicron is there. Therefore, I'm not even looking through the window. Here in our house, we have not opened the windows also. Because Omicron can come. So we are not. The first opportunity, what will you do? Love, identification, how it should be. So they gave the example of how always they show this example. Yes. The Shastras give the example of a cow and the calf. You take the calf outside, a distance and tie that. Right? And you let loose. What happens? It rushes to the cow, mother. That's called love. Unless that identification is there, sacrifice is not possible. Sacrifice, I'm not saying you have to, allow that. That's why he has already mentioned it. Before saying this, he has already mentioned it. Sacrifice means what you have to do. Patram, Pushpam, Palam, Thoyam, which is not yours. All that you have to do is what? Take that and give. At least, yours you give, there is a problem. He says, even that is not needed, man. You got to pluck something and it is growing. Pluck that and give and go. That itself is a problem for us. He says, do it as an offering to me. Offering means just, not just taking and putting it. That's not offering, please. Offer includes the sacrificial attitude. The sacrificial attitude can be there only in the atmosphere of devotion, which is nothing but identification. See, that is why with ease you are able to give your entire property to your child. Why? There's no problem. You give. Why you are able to give? Only reason is what? You believe the child is yours. You believe not. There's no proof. How many of us have got that, what is it? DNA test. DNA test return. We keep saying, you look like, you look like. On what basis? The thought is, this is my child. This is my son. This is my daughter. Is sufficient enough for you to give. the whole lot you are able to give effortlessly. Isn't it? I'm not saying it is wrong. I'm only establishing the truth of it. What is it? You can sacrifice at ease only where there is identification. You can give with ease only where there is identification. What is the proof? The proof is this. You're able to give, you're able to sacrifice there. All that you had slogged for, on a platter you take and give. Why? Nothing wrong in it. Huh? I'm not saying it's wrong. But it is so interesting to see you're able to give. Why? It says offer. Do that as an offering to me. To which what is needed? That bhavana of devotion is needed. Without that devotion. Now, what is that devotion? You do not identify with the child as my child because the child will do this, do that, and all that. The child may do, may not do, may be worthy, may not be worthy. You don't care whether the child is deserving it or not. Do you think does my son, my daughter deserves what I'm giving? One fellow purchased iPhone for his dog, Bangalore. Seriously. He bought an iPhone for his dog. Birthday gift. Now what do you do? Why you are able to do that? See, he has that much of identification. You may not have it. I may not have it. But he has it. When he has that identification, he will not think what is the qualification he has to take. Whether he deserves or not is not the point. Wherever we go, we always give based on that thinking of what? When you give charity, when you do charity based on what? How much they are deserving. That to a beggar in the street, you will never give 50,000 rupees check. Do you? Or take him to ATM and say, withdraw 25,000 rupees and give him. Will you do that? If you put 100 rupee note, he will turn up and down. We'll check the original or fake one. You can do that. That much only you can do. You can never give anything. Why? Because you don't feel that he can take, he deserves nothing more than 100. You fix it. You don't fix in terms of, am I qualified to give? Not based on your standard. I met one fellow here at Bangalore. Unfortunate thing is no more. First time I met him. I said, I need some, for the lectures. Need some money, I'm just collecting. Then he just asked me only one thing. He said, how much you need? For this, how much you need? I said, it's a big money. Hello. For me to finish it, don't waste your time running around. He cut the check straight away and gave. anytime from next year onwards. Anything you are in this one, call me. You don't need to come. Why are you coming all the way? Waste of time. Just could give me a call. Fascinating. You're able to just give. You give based on what? On what is the foundation? One is you think based on what is needed for the other person. You give, correct? You give based on what he needs. Now, you go to God, let's say, what does he need? What he needs. Even if you take it as a stone only, okay, to a temple you go and give, right? I'm not taking it as God. I'm just taking it as only stone only, let's say. It has got nothing to do with divinity and all that. It is a device used by people to connect social reasoning only. There is no spiritual reasoning. Yeah. Even then, does it need anything? You take it as stone, it doesn't need anything. You take it as divinity, it doesn't need anything. Either case, it doesn't need anything. Then why are you giving? What are you offering? Like you go to Tirupati and offer care, right? Shave the head and come. For what? Tamil Nadu, you go, Parni temple, you go. They go and offer. Now, why are you offering that? What are you doing? One fellow said, what is it you are offering there? Because it will grow again. What did you offer your eyes? One eye I give you. Like Kannappa gave you. He gave his eyes. It's not that much. It's an understanding of what you are offering. He doesn't need anything. Then you give to a person who doesn't need anything. For what? I can get something from him. Correct? Another idea is what? He doesn't need anything. I need something, man. Because my contract is in tender, is in his table. He has to sign that. So what do? I go to his daughter's wedding and a marriage gift. I give one diamond necklace. Marriage gift to, not to him, to his daughter. And I ensure that he knows that I have given that diamond necklace to him. Identification. Not here also you give, right? But he's not asking, he's not demanding anything, but I go and give. Why I give? Because I expect something from him. And that he dismissed as Sakama Bhakti. That's useless. Dismissed. You can't fool God like that. You can't say, I give here, you give me contract. Say, nah. And the contract goes to your competitor. Why? He has long hair. Then he says, calculation is calculation. No. You had a short hair. Imagine if I go and tell. He says, what's the use of it? The use. He had a better offer I got. It's not like that. Then for what he is giving, he doesn't need, nor can you be giving something, expecting something benefit from him. special favors from him, then why should you give? You can't say, so that I will get mokshas. Then that is also a desire you have. Dismissed. Then for what you are giving? Then what do you offer? That is called devotion. There is no reason whatsoever. What I offer. See, it's a wrong idea. I'm just giving you. The wrong thinking for people to say, I give there. It's supposed to be very, very, it's a spiritual one. Remember. Very important one that is. I'm not getting into the intellectual aspect of it. First, understand the devotional side of it, emotional part of it. Offering your hair means you are willing to sacrifice your beauty. Remember, hair offering doesn't mean just you go and give hair to God so that he doesn't have. Balaji is not having hair, so I offer him. Adil. You are going and giving. What are you offering? You are willing to forego your beauty. Imagine you are shaving completely, losing the whole thing. Is a offer. You are willing to forego your beauty for the sake of the Lord. For what? For you, I'm willing to lose my beauty. Means all of us will be willing to lose the what is wrong in us. Isn't it? All the blemishes we are willing to forego. But what is good in you will you be able to drop? Shaving of head signifies that. That's what it means. I don't know. The fellow who is doing also may know or may not know. The offerer doesn't know, the fellow who is doing also doesn't know. Like that, when you are offering here, just take, sacrifice. You sacrifice not based on what he needs or what you expect out of him. Or you can give, like this man I said, what he can afford. Right? I can afford to give, therefore I'm giving. That is also not there. Because what can you afford actually speaking to give him? This patram, pushpam, param, tvayam is not yours. Huh? You did not create. He created it. Huh? Then what are you going to offer? It will look so redundant, like the man who is buying iPhone and giving to his dog. You see how redundant it is? It's the same way what we go and offer to Lord. But then why you do it? That's called nishkama bhakti. Sacrifice. Then what, how do you do it now? You do it as an offering. Offering to me. Offering to me means what? Then why you do it? Because of sheer love. Sheer identification. And in that identification, the rule applies. The law applies there. What is it? When you have identified, you can go on sacrificing, you will never feel. That's why no mother feels that she has done enough to the child. No mother feels that. The father will say, here, 22 maximum. Okay, extension for you because you are such a dumb fellow. Another 2 years. 24. After 24, you have to be on your own. This is father. Mother at the age of 80, she will say what? I have one, great grandmother. Great grandmother. Must be around 90. Around 90. 90. She cannot get up. She cannot lie down. She cannot sit. She can't stand. She can't lie down. She cannot sit. Then what she does, I don't know. She is living alone with her son. Every day she cooks for him. This man doesn't know cooking. Every time I go and see her, he says, as long as I am there, I will give this fellow at least one rasam. Rasam I will prepare and give. And every festival I've been hearing that she prepared whatever is supposed to be prepared. We are not doing it in our house. Sweets or savories, everything she does. Of course, with a limited quantity only. I can eat only that much, she prepares that much. In 90s, she doesn't feel that I have done enough for you, man. She doesn't feel that. Her mother. That's why for love, always we give the example of a mother. Nowhere we give the example of father. Not that father's love is any less, you see. Not that is any less, we say, but still, always example is mother's love only is given. For what? Only here you find, I have done enough. That thought will never come. Enough, enough. No. They can go on and on and on and on at the cost of any amount of pain that they may go through. That's why you will find in the Puranas, every devotee story you read, they were tested severely. No? Unbelievable tests. Whether it is Vishnu's devotees or you go Shiva's devotees. Unbelievable test they had to go through. Skandapur was tested. Imagine a man plucking his eyes and giving it. And the other eye started bleeding. He's plucking the other eye. Unbelievable. Another devotee, Shiva goes to his house in the form of a medical sannyasi. Don't read it wrongly, okay? What I'm going to say now. It's a test. He goes to this man's house. He's a great devotee. Yes, please offer food. This man says, look here, today is that one day which I eat. After once in 7 years only I eat. And today is lunchtime, is that period. Within that period, I have to eat. If I skip this means, I can't eat anything for the next 7 years. Because that's the time I consume. I have come to your house for that. This man gets so excited. Wow, what a great blessing. You chose to come to my house. Good. Please, sir. No, I have something very particular. That's why I come to your house. Oh, even more blessed. Please tell me what I should. What I eat is, I go to a house once in 7 years. I choose a house where the couple should have only one son. And that son shouldn't be more than 7. And he should have been born in that particular nakshatra. And in that house only I eat. Wow, your house is fantastic. Please. That's so lucky. We never thought when the son is born, we'll be blessed like that. A fellow like you will come and have. Please. Wait, I have not completed. I eat that son. Should be held by the mother, cut by the father, and cooked by the mother, and served by that mother. That I will eat. Feed me. What you do? The fellow says yes. They do it. But of all the stories, I found, this one was my, I don't know how many number of times I would have read that story. Easily about 300, 400 times. Easy, I'm saying. Can you believe? And it's recorded. There's a record of that. How can someone, have the courage to ask itself, forget about doing it. Say, imagine that man who is asking it, imagine a man who is recording it as a book and publishing it. Very Purana. That testing means that for your little problem you call what? God is testing me. Elementary school test is about testing of yours. That means what? Ordinary test means where are you? Ordinary. If you have to study IAS, that testing is what? CAT, GRE, TOEFL, all that you have to study. That test is very different from our elementary test. If you fail in the elementary test, what's the meaning? The ease with which that fellow was able to do that. It's not that they are not paying. Virya Puranam captures what is the state, and that child is not a infant. Okay, that boy knows what the man has asked, what the guest has asked. They don't know that guest is Shiva and all that. They don't know about it. As far as they are concerned, that's a guest. The guest has requested, and the father, mother were willing to do it. If I resist, what is going to be the case? And this condition he puts, that child also should not resist, he says. If he resists, rejected. If you eat, you don't eat, who cares, man? After Savadeva, who asked you to have that sort of a vrata? Did I ask you? At least I used to think like that. Imagine this man went to tell, hey, whatever we give, you eat. Okay. This is what we prepare in our house. Better eat that or go. Or else, right, I have a brother. So, Or your brother, why should I? I cook my child and feed you. Testing means that. And every devotee is tested. And every test is like unimaginable or no fault of theirs. They had to suffer. And then finally, this man will appear. Either Shiva will appear, or Vishnu will appear, Krishna will appear, Rama will appear. One of them will appear and say, all this is only to test you. What do you think of us? I used to get really angry. After reading every story, I would get really angry. But then I would go back and read again. That's what I never understood. It's not that after reading the story, I used to feel so nice about it already. After reading the story, I will get more angry only. With contempt only, I would go to Kamalishwara temple and see. You did that. Irritated. Come back. Read again the same book. Amazing. What testing they do. All that you do as an offering. You never feel the pain of it. When you have that devotion, you never feel that. Radiate. Sannyasa yoga yuktatma Tomamupaishyasi Yupashunapalaireva Bhushyase karma bandhanaihi Sannyasa yoga yuktatma Tomamupaishyasi. Thus you shall be free from the bonds of action, bearing good and evil results. Seeking union by sannyasa yoga, yoga of renunciation. Liberated, you shall come to me. He explained 26 and 27. What is Nishkama Bhakti? Now he is coming to the Nishkama Bhakti Phala. What is the result of that? What happens to a person who is practicing that Nishkama Bhakti? What happens to him? He says. And he gets two results, he says. What are the two? One is that union. Then Mamupaishyasi, come to me. Two things. One, he is referring to Jivan Mukti, liberated. You shall come to me, Videha Mukti. These are all technical things, okay? Technical in the sense you have to understand it, but technical aspect. One is Jivan Mukti means you have attained Mukti when you are alive. The term itself explains it. Jivan Mukti. Then you have the Deha. Without Deha, after death. So when you are alive, you get liberated. After that, you merge with me. Me means not Krishna, with the self, with Brahman. You merge with Brahman. That's what is referred here. So thus, when you practice verse 26 and 27, you shall be free from the bonds of action. What are the bonds of action? There are two bonds of action, Shubha and Ashubha. The phala, every action produces two types of results, Shubha and Ashubha Pala. Now, without you getting into this involvement with the Shubha and Ashubha Pala, palatable, unpalatable. Certain results are agreeable to you, certain results are not agreeable to you externally. Then again he gives another one. He gives is this good and evil results. This is good and evil results. Internally, what is happening to you? Internally, it has these two, external and internal. External results, agreeable, not agreeable. Internal results is what is referred as punya and papa. Right? You are not those bonds of actions. You shall be free from those bonds of actions. Means you are freed from this external results as well as internal results. Why? Because you are practicing, because you are seeking union by Sannyasa Yoga. Contradiction in terms. Yoga means joy. Sannyasa means giving. Yoga is taking up. Sannyasa is giving up. Now he says, Sannyasa Yoga. Taking up, giving up yoga. Okay? Oxymoron. This is oxymoron, contradiction. It says this Shubha Pala and Ashubha Pala you get. Means you don't get into this likes and dislikes. You don't develop the desires without desiring agreeable results and without disliking a non-agreeable result. You like agreeable results. You dislike non-agreeable results. Dislikes and dislikes is what is referred here. Okay. Now, this is how you understand that these two words, Shubha, Ashubha Pala. There's two things you have. All this is what Karma Bandhan is. Karmani eva bandhani. That's what it means. It is punya and papa, bonds. What is a bondage? The bondage is not the result. The bondage is the punya papa comes out of that. The merit and demerit. Now here in Vedanta, we take even punyas also as a bondage only. You are bound by punya, that's all. It is like iron calf and a gold. Either way you are in jail. Either way you are calf. Now what is the difference? Whether it is iron or gold. Gold is more dangerous. Why? You feel proud. And you show our tones also to people. You see, I got iron. I got gold, I got gold. Paitya. That's what we are. Seeking union by Sannyasa Yoga. This is the catch. He is seeking that union. With what? With that Sannyasa Yoga. What is Sannyasa? Sannyasa means leaving. You leave something and you take up something. You take up the action for the sake of the Lord. And you parallelly give up. And what is interesting is, the sannyasa varies from person to person, and the sannyasa varies to a same person at different stages. The initial stages, what you give up is different. Later stage, what you give up is different. The initial stage, what you have to give up, you give up that craving for the enjoyment of the fruit. And then you work for the sake of the Lord. Devotional. Intellectual is working for the sake of realization. That's all. It's the same thing. Depending upon your makeup. If you are a devotional, we say for the God's sake. If you are intellectual, we'll say it is for the sake of self-realization. That's all. It's a words only different. That's all. But sannyasa will vary. That will keep changing. As you keep growing, that will keep on changing. So first what you give up, the very initial stage, you give up all the negativities. All the wrong things you don't do. That you give up. Very, very, very preliminary stage. Then what you give up? You give up the craving that you have for the enjoyment. Afterwards, what you give up? You give up the craving for action. Craving for the fruit. Then you give up the very notion that I am the doer. It changes. See, sannyasi will change, but the yoga will not change. That is a variable factor and a fixed factor. These two things are there. What is one thing fixed? Fixed is yoga. Variable is sannyasa. Actually, there are different types of sannyasis, you know. There are various types of sannyasis are there in sannyasa itself. So as you keep growing, what happens? You take up the higher, automatically lower falls off. How it falls off? Shastra gives a fascinating example. Sannyasa. Sannyasa means what? How do you explain sannyasa? A child is having a doll, hands, and playing. As it is playing, it fell off to sleep. Right? Then what happens? It will be holding that for a period, and then the doll falls. The toy falls from the hands of the child. Will the child drop it? Or the doll fell by itself? See, doll cannot fall by itself. You can't say it will fall on its own. If it can fall on its own, it should have fell before also. No. Nor can you say it is a child that is dropping it. Because the child is fast asleep. Now, how do you explain that phenomenon? That is the state of sannyasa. Superb example. I don't know for you, but I was really thrilled when I read that. I said, wow, correct. You cannot say the child is dropping it, nor can you say it is the doll that is falling by itself. But the fact remains is what? It is falling. Now, when the child is holding the doll, when the doll is in the hands of the child, do you say the child is holding it? At what point you are going to call it as sannyas? At the point of the doll falling, or before itself? At what point you will call it? See, once a child fell off to sleep, Instantly it will not fall. Have you seen? Hmm? Vishnu, put up her to sleep and see. It's amazing. How keenly they have observed. What a connection they make. First abstraction happens where? Internally, isn't it? Even though externally the toy is still in the grips of the child, but is it holding it? Is the child aware that it is having the toy? It's not. It's gone completely. Whether the toy is there in its hands or not doesn't make any difference to the child who is asleep. Yoga. Sannyasa yoga, he says. Yoga is what? Falling off to sleep. That inner abstraction results in sannyas. That yoga results in sannyasa, says. Just dropping it. Right? First, what you have to do, even though coinage is sannyasa yoga, you should start from there. Not from sannyasa. You should start from yoga. First, you should put the child to sleep. Your effort is only what? To put the child to sleep. That's it. Don't try to snatch the toy away from the child. Don't do all that. Put him to sleep. Automatically, what will happen? It will fall. It may fall. Sometimes some kids, they don't even drop it. Have you seen? They're very strong. Their grip is very strong. They will not. They will still hold and sleep. Who used to do that? She will not drop. She will hold. She will help. She will hold that, and it will not fall. But if you pull it out, she will not wake up. If you take it out, she will not wake up. Some kids will wake up immediately. She won't wake up. As far as the child is concerned, it is whether it is having it or it's not having it doesn't make any difference. That inner state will express. Sometimes it will fall, sometimes it will not fall. When it falls, you say some people take to sannyas, some people do not take to sannyas. Doesn't make any difference. That's why we have people like Janaka. Right? Janaka stayed. Right? This Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. What's the Rishi name? Yajnavalkya. Yajnavalkya. He took to sannyas. After a point, he says, I'm going to take to sannyas. He dropped. Some kids hold the toy, some kids drop the toy. Whether the child is holding the toy, you don't say the child is having it. Nor when the child is dropping, you say the child has dropped it. Either case, sannyasa is attained. It may drop, it may not drop. The toy may fall, it may not fall. Doesn't make any difference. The essential point is what? It is in the state of abstraction. It is fall off to sleep. Attuned to something higher. The lower drops on its own. That is a law of life. That is what is communicated here by the term Sannyasa Yoga. Through this practice, what happens? You shall be liberated. Vimukta. Future tense. You will be liberated. Liberated from what? Liberated from samsara. What is samsara? Then you give various understandings of samsara. Samsara is what? Essentially a feeling of sense of incompleteness. That is called a samsara. A sense of incomplete. Something is lacking in me. See. So each one tries to fill that using something. Only what we are using to fill that incompleteness is a variable one. But what is fixed is what? Sense of incompleteness is there. All that we have covered. Sir, that Yoga Vasishta will you take? Now, what about Herbert Spencer? Herbert Spencer is, lectures. Herbert Spencer's lectures. Why don't you do Herbert Spencer's lectures one day? As though all the other things you have covered. Not that you should not read, say. But you feel that once I read that, it will be complete. So another person says what? Once I get little more of attention, little more of subscribers to the YouTube channel, you feel complete. So I keep asking, please subscribe, please subscribe, please subscribe. Okay, how many subscribers we have? You will say enough. 7 billion is enough. Huh? At what point you are going to say enough? Never. That state is called samsara. How much money if you have enough? How much beauty enough for you? How much name enough for you? How much fame enough for you? How much attention enough for you? How much love enough for you? How much respect is enough for you? How much knowledge is enough for you? Never. That state of feeling that incompleteness. That is what is referred as sannyasa. Sorry, samsara. Liberation means you are liberated from that sense. Means you shift from there and you come to that from incompleteness to a sense of completeness in life. A sense of dissatisfied life to a contented life. When you are alive. Then after death, what will happen? No Purarjanma. No next birth for you. What happens? Straight you come to me. That also again, future tense. Both he puts in future tense. You shall be liberated and you shall come to me. Jivan Mukti and Deha. 29.
ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम् समोऽहं सर्वभूतेषु न मे द्वेषोऽस्ति न प्रियः ये भजन्ति तु मां भक्त्या मयि ते तेषु चाप्यहम्.
The same am I in all beings. There is none hateful or dear to me. But those who worship me with devotion, they are in me and I am also in them. If you see that equation, there is a question we all of us will get naturally here. Is is explained. There are bhaktas who have that shraddha, but they lack it. They worship other gods. They go there. And there are people who worship me, they come to me. But even though when they are all worshipping the other god, they are actually worshipping me. All that he said earlier. Now, we will ask one question. Question is God partial? Huh? Those who worship other gods, they also worship me, but they go to him, they don't come to me. But those who worship me come to me. So, who I allow, who I don't allow. Visa officer. Visa accepted, visa rejected. Some visas are accepted, some visas are rejected. Partiality is there. So, as always, we ask this question. Is God partial? Giving moksha to few people and not dishing out moksha to other people. Or if we are going to be seeing God like this, now we ask this question, how God will look at us? Our bhavana towards God, we have studied so far. Yes, he has given. There are different types of attitudes you can have. Now, what is God's attitude towards us? And that is what he is answering here. All these beings are saying to me, there is no difference. There is none hateful or dear to me. All are saying, samaha. Says. Samaha means what? Name dvesha and ame priya. There is no dvesha, people who I don't like, or there are people who I like. When you superficially read it, all of us will say what? Correct. God, everybody is equal in front of God. All are equal in front of God. Always will that. Right. I am not saying he has said himself. That is his. If you think carefully, you little application if you do, deep within, you will never agree to this. You know that? You can never relate to this God. Superficially, we can say, correct. God treats everyone equal. For him, everybody is equal. But deep-rootedly, your mind can never subscribe and say, correct. That is the God I would like to relate to. No. You will want to relate to a God only when that God is willing to treat you with special concession. You are the chosen. Special. You are all lucky people. Chosen few who had this opportunity to listen to the Bhagavad Gita lecture. Then it is interesting. Correct. You don't want. Imagine, I've seen people like that. I remember this man, he brought some sweets. He brought. He prepared that sweet and he brought that sweet. He brought that. The house. We got. And we had that lunch and we had, each one had brought one. A group of people who came. So we said, look here, we don't have time for us to go to everybody's house. So each one do one. Doesn't matter. Bring it. So what they call the potluck. That one they do. Potluck, correct? Lunch. This fellow brought. And, Swamiji was having it, and we also had all those things. And then we are all, chatting. Please sitting and having a chat. So I'm just talking to somebody there, and we are standing here and talking. This fellow came. Purapuri. Swamiji Sakata. I can't tell him, he doesn't like it. And I'm just joking, just giving an example. Okay. His concern is not all this. Of all the dishes brought by other people, so another person has brought a salad. They prepared some salad, they brought the salad only, they prepared and brought, which is more time consuming. Chopping all that and getting that right combination. Because you should know what to add and what not to add. You should know how to prepare salads. It's an art. Amazing. They prepared and they brought. And another person has prepared, some rasam and rice. This is one something they brought. And I took only appetite. I said, what you will bring? I'll bring appetite. That's all. He had all that. His concern is what? See, of all the dishes, he expects what? The lunch, the best is Puran Poli is the best. If he says, he will be satisfied. Suppose if he were to say, well, there's no big difference. Each one brought one thing, you also brought one thing. Big deal. Back. It looks like what for him? You see that? See, superficially, when you read that line, God sees there is no one who is hateful to me or dear to me. Nobody is hateful, nobody is dear, but everybody is same for me. He says, it looks fantastic, superficially. But when you little attention you pay, can your mind accept that God? We want a God who will treat us special. Special treatment. A little extra consideration. That's it. Imagine, in a party, suddenly one person brings, one dish. Sir, gulab jamun. Last piece was there. He quickly took it and brought it for you. Give. It's not the gulab jamun is not going to be there at all after that. That lot it is not, he is going to bring it from inside. That's all it is. But when he brings like that and says that and he gives, what do we feel? Special. That's what we all want. That the mind has a weakness. See? And superior that person who treats you with special. You feel what? Huh? You feel what? This is the problem of Jews. All over the world, people were hating the community. Why? What did they do? What is the percentage of them? To the world population, if you take, what is the percentage of them? Nothing. But the whole world is hating those people. Why? We are the special chosen by God. That's it. That gives a tremendous, that no? Only 2 religions in the world has no procedure for converting into that. 2 oldest religions have no procedure to be converted. Hinduism and Jewish. You can't be converted into, you should be born there, that's all. You can't say, suddenly I wanted to get converted into Jewish. You will not get separate. Even in Hinduism, we don't have. Someone comes and says, I want to become a Hindu. You say, okay, come to temple. Now, okay, you put Bindi means you are a Hindu. Huh? You smear ashes, you are a Hindu. Hindu you become. And from tomorrow morning, I am going to do such Sandhya. Will you become a Hindu because of that? You get the thread ceremony done. You become a Hindu because of that? You don't become a Hindu because of, you may do it. You may not do it. Doesn't make any difference here. You see, these two religions has a very subtle ego, fine ego this is. That's why attacked. Tremendous attack. Why? Ego. We want to be, we are the special ones. And you get such a satisfaction. You are a chosen few by God, handpicked. So all you people can deserve better than others. So all you will be treated in one way and rest of all will be treated another way. This God we can accept. This God will be inspiring to all of us. The God who says, no, nothing, as far as I am concerned, everybody is same. Which means Sakama Bhaktas, Nishkama Bhaktas, and Abhaktas. All same. What will happen to you? Huh? Immediate question will be, then why should I slog, man? Huh? Now, from Abhakta, I have to graduate into Sakama Bhakta. And then in Sakama Bhakta, I have to graduate myself into Nishkama Bhakta. And in Nishkama Bhakti, you will put me to 101 tests and pass all that. It's like saying a fellow who is a peon, also a CEO of a company, are going to be getting same salary. Now, get educated to become a CEO. Who will go to college? Who will study? See, that's why he puts it. You may be wondering, why suddenly he says this here? He's glorifying, he's talking about Nishkama Bhakti and what is that attitude, love, devotion, this, that, all that. Suddenly he says, everybody same to me. Why? This is the test. And you still put in that effort, that prayatna, he said no. Prayatatmanaha, he said no. Still will you strive? Huh? That's why your wife never cooks properly. But when there is a guest, there is a special attention to cooking. On a regular day, cooking is not done with such care. On a special occasion, there is a why. A guest will come, he will eat something. He'll say, Nalake, how did you prepare? As though he is going to prepare at home. Very nice it is. He'll say, that's it. That appreciation is needed. Now at home, a fellow, you prepare coffee and keep, you won't even register. Many times happens to me. I would have finished my coffee, and then, and then I'll get up and go and ask her, coffee would go here. She'll say, then what is the tumbler there? Earlier, she used to do that earlier. Now she stopped it. Earlier, what she'll do is she'll wait. She'll be doing things and all that. In 15 minutes, she'll come back again, take the glass and go. I don't have to do anything. Now she's not taking. Even if it is 2 days, it is there. Why not? This is the problem. The only proof is, since the tumbler is there, the proof is, I have served coffee. You drank that. I have served coffee there. Yeah. Who knows? The proof is that I have given you no. Is that? You don't even register otherwise. You see. But here, no special treatments. Now, who will put in effort? After he is making it so explicit, he's not hinting, he's not even stating it suggestively, he's explicitly saying, everyone is equal to me. Obvious question will come to all of us is, then why I have to slog? Slogging, same thing. Not slogging, same thing. What will be the case? Government office now. You work same salary, you don't work same salary. You don't go to office also, you are going to get promoted. Why? Seniority. Then who will work? Why should you work? Why should you put in that extra effort? Anywhere you see that extra effort that you put in, what will motivate you to put in that extra effort is the possibility of that extra, that special. Takes that off equation. It's completely moved out of equation. It says, nothing you are going to get special from me. Why? There is none dear to me or hateful to me. Can we agree to this God? Krishna, Krishna, you keep singing. Krishna, Krishna, Rama, Rama. They all same, man. Huh? As for Ram, imagine Rama say, Hanuman and Ravana same to me. Huh? Imagine he says that to Hanuman. You and Ravana same to me. Hanuman will say, what? Excuse me? Technically Rama will say that when, Pattabhisheka he will say. All problem solved. All that is done. Now he can't do anything. Not when he is crying in the forest, searching for Sita. At that point of time, he will not say, Hanuman and Ravana same. That's what he says here. In between, he says that. You see, he is denouncing the Sakama Bhaktas and explaining the beauty and the glory and what they achieve, what all happens with Nishkama Bhakti. And then he says, suddenly, out of context, I don't know why he has to say this here. That I couldn't understand, actually. Now, why he is saying that? Imagine this, he is not saying what is going to be the loss for the continuation of the next. Because you see that very carefully. He explained what is it, then he has explained what is the phala, what is the result of it, what will happen to Nishkama Bhakta people. Nishkama Bhakta people, they graduate slowly through their efforts and finally they achieve to Jivan Mukti and Vidya Mukti. 28. Now, why in 29 suddenly he says, I am same to all beings. All beings are same. Doesn't make any difference to me. Your ability to understand this, agree to this, and then put in that extra effort defines your devotion. Your bhakti is challenged here. It challenges your bhakti by stating this here. And it's a fact. Remember. But the interesting point is why this fact to be told here is not necessary. Not necessary at all. Then comes the second line. Now this is God's bhavana towards us. But what is from our angle? From our angle, he says, for those who worship me with devotion, instantly he comes to this side. See, but Anytime you remember, anybody who says, but when we speak, when we use the word but and then say, and masters say but and say. They are two different things. Teachers, when they say that, it is one. When we say that, it is different. When we say whatever is said after but is the correct one. Whatever you have said before that has no meaning. It's a prattle. The truth is what comes after that. That's why you got to be watchful when you are listening to people. Pay attention. That's the first thing we were taught. When you are doing, the course, MS in counseling. What is that you are supposed to do? Every time the client says, but listen to that. Whatever they said before, delete. Because the truth is what comes after. Exactly opposite to the masters. With masters, it's opposite. Whatever they say before is the truth. They use the word but for whom? He is coming down to our level. Before but is his level. After that, our level. Now, instantly he comes to those who are in the border state of Sakama Bhakti to Nishkama Bhakti. They're just in the border. They are in Sakama Bhakti only, but they are striving, they are aspiring. Is there a possibility for me to graduate myself into Nishkama Bhakta? They are striving for that. For those people only this advises. Next slide. Those who worship me with devotion. Meaning what? All that we have seen. Devotion means what and all that. all included. They are in me and I am also in them. Those people, the oneness is achieved. They are in me, I am in them. We are buddies. They are special. Suddenly it looks like, they are special. But they are special not because of me. They have become special because of their devotion, their effort. It is their effort they have reached that. See, but this is not the essential point of this verse. To me, the first line is the most interesting. Suddenly he says, same, all are same. How is it possible? Your mind cannot digest. And then that's a restorative philosophy. The point which we have seen in 7th chapter, we have seen earlier this same chapter, 7th chapter he has explained, this chapter he has explained, I am not in them, they are not in me, all that intellectual, twists and turns, all that, all those things we have seen already. So we don't have to go back to it again, the whole thing. But he's just, reminding that. But so it's just to fill the gap, just to pacify. Second line is just to pacify. The first line is the truth. Second line is just to say, okay, don't cry. Patting. Second line. They are in me, I'm also in them. Don't worry. The first line is the punch, the tremendous power. The same am I in all beings. There is none hateful or dear to me. This is the catch. 29. Is none hateful or dear. Can you digest that God? Can you say that God is this? As he says, God is like petrol in car. You can't digest that God. We want God who is going to grant you boons. You want God who gets angry with you. That God you take. What is the problem? think your family deity is angry with you. Yeah. Go there, do one puja, come back. All problems will be solved. This God you are agreeable with. You can relate to this God, isn't it? Nagadosha. That God you can agree. Right? Graha doshas, you can agree to that God. You can agree to the God who says, I have nothing, man. I don't do anything. I don't get angry with you. I don't get excited with you. And this God looks, very flat for us. Not inspiring. But this is the real inspiration. Rest are all just, very, very superficial. The true inspiration you can get is only when you understand that God is petrol in car. Not true inspiration. Just a very, very superficial. And the way where he places the truth is a beauty. See you next class.